Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper into why each one of these categories of volleyball or youth athletics in general is the way that it is. And it comes down to three reasons: coaching, structure and programming, and culture. We have a self-perpetuating problem in coaching. Parents, athletes. How many of you know what a day in the life of a coach is like? Let's start there. I want to hear from you. Tell me if what I'm about to tell you is news to you. Number one, most coaches below the college level have full 9-to-5 jobs, 40-hour-a-week jobs, and they're coming to coach you after their full workday and on their weekends. Let's talk about pay. So the average high school coach across the nation, this is an average, makes $2,000 to $6,000 for the season. So volleyball's a 3-month season, right? Especially if you make it to the postseason. So 3 months is what they say. 3 months is a lie. It's actually 12 months because especially when you're the head coach of this program, you're in charge of running everything. You're in charge of staffing. You're in charge of tournaments. You're in charge of off-season clinics. You're in charge of equipment. You're in charge of answering emails and questions. This is not a 3-month job. So when we're talking the middle school level, most middle school coaches are also the PE teacher. So they're a PE teacher within the school system. So the pay in club is much better. But still, it's around $1,000 to $4,500 a month, depending on what kind of club you're playing for, and what those dues are they're charging. And most of those dues go to cover cost. This is on top of their 9-to-5 job. So a little extra money coming in doesn't hurt, but the workload. This part is really important. This part is one of the biggest parts that sets the recreation from the semi-competitive to the competitive apart. Is the amount of emotional space, bandwidth, and time that you have to manage this workload. To put together a good, solid practice plan, it'll take me at least an hour to 2 hours, depending on who I'm putting a practice plan together for. Film review. So when you send your coach a video and say, hey, can you look at my daughter's film and review it from the tournament? Just think about that times 12. 12 is the average amount of kids on a team. And again, reviewing somebody's film takes time because you have to review it, think about it, respond, put together an action plan, go back and forth, answer questions. It's a lot of work. Parent emails, phone calls, meetings. Athlete emails, phone calls, meetings. Commute and travel. These are two different buckets. You're commuting, just like you're commuting to practice to play, they're commuting to practice to coach most of the time. Travel, we're talking about on the weekends, flying here and there and doing all the things, traveling to the tournament. Change of plans. So when you decide not to come to practice, that practice plan that they spent 2 hours doing is now null because they put together a practice plan for 10 people with an even number with specific drills, and now we're down to 9. Which changes the whole plan. So now we have to redo that practice plan times 12. And then emotions. Emotions, this is a big, huge, heavy part. When you are talking to your coach about anything, my daughter's experiencing this, that, times that by 12. Then add 24 because every player has 2 parents for the most part. Not all the time. Average here, guys. So the players, the parents, their maybe assistant coaches, their director, whatever, their spouse, themselves, their friend group, whatever other bucket is not being included here. This is a bucket of heavy emotional management. You have to have pretty decent emotional intelligence levels to deal with this on a regular basis. So what does all of this mean? And how does this translate to the level of coaching that we get in those 3 different buckets? So number one, if you ask most coaches why they're coaching volleyball, they're gonna tell you it's not for the money. There's no money. they're going to say something along the lines of, I love mentoring. I love the game of volleyball. Something along those lines. They're doing it for the impact that they're going to have on the younger generation. This is where their value's coming from. Here's the value. It's not here, it's here. So when somebody is valued, they're doing their best work, they're putting in their best effort. When somebody is undervalued, they're deprioritizing their task list and they're looking for other places to find that impact, to find that value. Okay, so before we dive into how everything I just told you impacts the different levels of play in youth sports, I want to hear from you. Was what I just told you news to you? As a parent, did you know before watching those videos the amount of work and mental load that goes into coaching? The reason why I'm sharing all of this with you is so that we all can level set and create a better experience for not just our children, our coaches and parents, so that everybody feels enriched by the youth athletics experience, not weighed down by it. When we know better, we do better, right? So here's what we do moving forward. Coaches, we need to establish stronger boundaries and we need to enforce those boundaries. I coached high school volleyball for exactly one season for this reason, and I didn't feel valued in that space. And I'm the kind of person that I'm not going to spend any time in a space where I don't feel valued, period. And I suggest you do the same. Because here's the truth of the matter. We are perpetuating this reality by accepting it. People treat you how they value you. But you also have to clearly establish how you'd like to be treated. That way everybody can hold themselves accountable. 2 things for parents. Number 1, if you're going to talk the talk, then walk the walk. Don't tell your coach that you appreciate them, but then constantly push beyond the boundaries that they have established. Remember that the person that you're dealing with is overworked, underpaid, and undervalued as an industry standard. The second thing for parents is focus on what you can control. You don't have decision-making power behind the coach's curtain. And remember that any perspective that you have is coming from your perspective and your child's perspective. And the coach has to do that for 12 different people. They have a team perspective versus your individual perspective. What you're paying for is the service that is being provided for your child. And we just talked about that. Remember that. What you're not paying for is decision-making power in the coaching realm. Where you can control this scenario is where you choose to spend your time and your money and your mental load and your emotional load. And if it's not working for you in a certain space with a certain coach or a team or a program, spend your time and your money elsewhere. There are so many options.